Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Find somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits and all of that good stuff. I mean, this is not going to be a very, very long show, but I did want to give you guys some updates, some updates revolving around this particular case, because honestly, we have been understandably very much in another case, very much in the Sebastian Rogers case. And I felt compelled to kind of give you guys just a little bit on updates on these two mothers that went missing. We kind of did one episode, one conversation about it, and then everything got crazy. I mean, O.J. Simpson passed away. We had all this kind of stuff that was going on with Sebastian Rogers, which of course we're still keeping an eye on that. We are still going to keep an eye on that, but I'm waiting for developing news. I'm waiting for some updates, some real updates revolving around that case, okay? So when there's new updates, we will talk about Sebastian for sure. But there's a slew of other conversations and other stories that still need to be looked at. There's a lot of other missing people that need our attention. So we're going to get into this. So do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. That would really mean a lot. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on any other platforms. That would really mean the world to me. Okay? Don't forget to hit that follow button on my Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Follow me on all my social medias. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. That'd be greatly appreciated, of course, as well. If you want to support the channel, hit that join button down below. Become a member. And of course, you can always check out my Patreon if you want to support even more. Go to my Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. It is in the ticker going that way right now as we speak. That way right now as we speak. So please go check that out. And of course, you can check out pascalmerch.com. Okay. Like I said, we're not going to be on for a very long time. All right. It's a very, very busy Friday for me today. But I wanted to give you guys some updates revolving around this particular case, okay? Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. These are two women that went missing out in the Oklahoma area. What's very odd about this particular case is how the car was found. And of course, there's been a lot of questions about what happened here? Why did this happen? Why did it go the way it went down? Right now, we understand what we learned from the previous show, that there is some sort of nasty custody battle that Veronica Butler was going through with her ex and her ex's family. Now, from what we understand, her ex's family, or at least the grandma, has custody over her children. So what we gathered as well throughout that show is that these two women, Jilian and Veronica, were on their way down to visit her children, Veronica's children, because it was a supervised visitation. Okay. So pretty interesting stuff there too. But then on top of it, we found out there were allegations of unthinkable things that were done to the children under the watch of Veronica, allegedly. Okay, these are all just alleged pieces of information that have been out here. But obviously, there's been new updates, but there's been new information out here that I want to share with you guys and cover with you guys on this. And it's pretty crazy. Now, I want you to know the nasty custody battle that Veronica Butler is going through. Well, the ex, okay, the father of her children, is in rehab right now. Now, one of the questions is, hey, does this mean that he had something to do with this? Did he do it by his own hand? Did his mother, the grandmother of these children, have something to do with this. It's very, very weird, very, very odd, and I have a lot of questions about this. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of things, and of course, we're going to take a look at these things. All right, we're going to talk about it. Okay, so let us get into some things. All right. So there is an article that I wanted to share with you guys that basically says, hey, these are the things that we know so far. So I wanted to kind of do a brief thing on this. Okay. So obviously the investigation is still continuing as the disappearance of these two Kansas women who vanished along the Oklahoma highway last month. Police keep looking for clues into possible foul play. And their car was found 1,000 feet off of the Oklahoma State Highway 95 along a dirt path March 30th. So they've been missing for a little while. All right. They've been missing for a little while. And they say that the scene that was left behind did not look very good, that it definitely 110% gave the vibe of foul play for sure. Okay. So who are these missing women? All right. Because there's some things that were said out in the very beginning that I think we're going to be able to clarify in this conversation and all that as well. Okay. And somebody is just being a jerk. Somebody being a jerk, though. Okay. Somebody out here just woke up, chose violence today. Damn. Okay, moving on. So here it is, okay? Butler, 25, she is 5'4" tall, all right, with red hair and green eyes. She was last seen wearing a blue short-sleeved shirt, denim shorts, and Hey Dude shoes. Now, we already know about this information, but I'm going to repeat it again just in case if you're in the area, you may see these two women, you never know, all right? Police said Butler has a butterfly tattoo on her left forearm. Now, Kelley, Jilian Kelley, 39, has brown hair, blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a long sleeve shirt, white washed blue jeans, and either tan or beige shoes. Oklahoma Highway Patrol said Kelley has several tattoos, including a Chinese symbol on her left forearm and a sunflower on her left shoulder. Okay, so she has several tattoos, but she has a Chinese symbol on her left forearm and a sunflower on her left shoulder. Just repeating that. So for those of y'all in the nosebleed seats that are watching, keep an eye out for these women. All right. Butler's family has told police the two women were traveling together to Eva, Oklahoma, to pick up Butler's two children. News Nation, the article I'm reading here, has learned Butler's children may be living with the mother of the father of her children, the grandmother. Okay, I don't know why they have to say all that extra stuff, but the grandmother, okay, all right, who is currently watching the kids. Police have described the two women as more acquaintances than friends. News Nation reported this week that Kelley was the supervisor, and this part is really important, okay? Because in the very beginning, we heard stories about them just being friends. Like they were friends, and then suddenly they weren't friends anymore, right? So, interesting stuff, right? Now, they're saying that she's a supervisor. She was the supervisor of the childhood visits for Butler, which I think is a very, very important. Now, let me just say this. Let me just point this out really quick. I think this is very, very crucial. Why I say that? Because obviously there's a custody battle that's going on. Okay. There's definitely a custody battle that's going on. Hold on. All right. It's back to positivity and conversations here. So I think that's very important to understand that this information here, at first, they were saying that they were friends. But then as time went on, as the investigation continued to move on, they said they have heard and understood that she was actually the supervisor. Okay? That she was supervising her visits because Veronica Butler is going through a very, very nasty, nasty custody battle because the grandmother on the ex's side, okay, claims that the children were victims of SA, basically. Okay, so not so great stuff. All right, and to the point where now Veronica doesn't even have custody over her children, and she has to do supervised visits to even see her children, which is crazy. Now, those allegations, things that are being said like that, we don't know. We don't know if that's true or not. The only people that know if it's true or not is the Butler family, okay? And the people that are connected to the Butler family, right? That's it. But it is pretty wild that the court signed over custody rights, signed over custody to the grandmother, and now she has to do everything she can with supervised visits to, you see what I'm saying, to go and see her own children. That is pretty crazy, okay? And very heartbreaking, okay? Hold on, guys. Okay. All right. So moving on. Okay. We got more to say. So, family members who have been asked to postpone media interviews until the police tell them otherwise say the two women were involved in their community and their churches. So, where was the missing car found? Where was the women's missing car found? The car that the two women were traveling in was found in a vast open area near Yarborough School, from which Butler graduated from in 2015. Despite investigators believing foul play could be involved in the woman's disappearance, there are no visible signs of an active large-scale search. No grid searches, no canine units, no police command center are in place. Butler's family says the two were traveling together in Eva to pick up Butler's two children. They have also learned that Butler's children may be living with the mother of the father of their children, which we already said earlier. But what's interesting, okay, is that there is no large scale activity going on. Like they said, there's no grid search, there's no canine units, there's no police command center that has been erected or made thus far. What I find very interesting, though, I think this says something. I think this most definitely says something. What does it say? I think police already have an idea. You see what I'm saying? I think they're zeroing in on somebody. You got to remember too, we talked about this on the other show too. And yeah, mods, if you could do something about these trolls, I can't do them all myself. That would be really appreciated. But I'm trying to block them as much as I can too. But what's interesting about this, okay? What's interesting is that they're not doing anything about a grid search, at least that what we know so far, what we've seen. There's no canine units. Now, what's interesting is that they also said, and we saw this on the other show, is that they've been telling people in the town to not talk to anybody, not talk to media or anything of that sort. I mean, that's very, very interesting. Okay. Long story short. All right. Long story short. So, long story short, I think it's very interesting, okay, that you have no real police activity in the area that they were last seen, no real police activity around the area where the car was left at. They say that there is a strong possibility, or they suspect foul play because of what the scene looked like from where the car was left at. That says a lot there, right? But then it's like, where's the information, right? Where's the press conferences? Where's the other stuff that's going on? We haven't heard anything of that sort at all, which is very, very wild. To me, it's very, very wild. Okay. So now we got more, and we're going to get into it. Let's continue going. Okay. News Nation reported this week that the car was found just 3 miles from its intended destination. The meetup with the children's grandmother was set to take place at an abandoned gas station in a section of Oklahoma called Four Corners, but the women never arrived. That's weird too, don't you think? Wouldn't you think that's a little bit odd? That's a little bit odd, don't you think? Huh. So you're telling me their destination was supposed to meet up. They were supposed to meet up at an abandoned gas station. Now, of course, I'm going to ask this too. Is that a normal rendezvous point? Is that a place where they meet up all the time? Is that normal? Because I heard when we watched it the other show, we heard about them saying that they were supposed to meet somewhere, and then the location changed, and then they went and met somewhere else. So the fact that they're meeting at an abandoned gas station, to me, that says something to me. That's a red flag right there. Something ain't right there. Okay. They were supposed to meet up with the children's grandmother was set to take place at an abandoned gas station. What the hell? In a section of Oklahoma called Four Corners, but the women never arrived. And again, there was also things being said that they were supposed to meet somewhere else beforehand, and allegedly that location changed. Now, if that information is different, then of course we'll have to talk about that, and hopefully we'll find out more information. But that's very weird, okay? The drive from Hugoton to the meetup spot in Eva is about 45 minutes. Okay. Still a little bit of a drive, but it ain't that bad, right? At least it's not an hour and a half. Okay. So very, very interesting indeed. Okay. So let's continue on. The latest details in the missing Kansas mom's case. Now, News Nation reported Tuesday that Kelley was the supervisor, which we already know. Okay. The visit was designated. The visit was a designated court-approved visitation that takes place every Saturday. 4 people, including Kelley, have been listed as approved supervisors. And of course, her children, Butler's children, are 6 and 8. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that the visit was a designated court-approved visitation that takes place every Saturday. So I'm wondering, so they passed this information by the court, and the court said, yep, that place is fine. Let's keep it moving. Ain't that a little bit weird, don't you think? That's a little bit weird, right? That one moment that you're sending this designation to the court, and it's an abandoned gas station, and the court says, I approve this message. And that's where you go and meet up with the grandma to pick up the kids, not in a public area, not in a place where there could be other possible eyewitnesses and whatnot. Doesn't that seem a little bit odd? Unless the court didn't really look into it and they didn't know that that place was abandoned. But then again, if you really think about it, if the area is really that small of a town, I mean, allegedly she was one of the only children in her class to graduate in 2015. If the town is that small, wouldn't the court know that that gas station is abandoned? So that's a little bit weird. Okay, moving on though. Very, very weird. Butler's fiance was the one who became worried and started looking for the vehicle. So her new husband to be, okay, just to make that abundantly clear, okay, he became very worried and he started looking for the vehicle. News Nation Laura Engel reported the investigators and family members have not indicated whether the grandmother who has custody of the children showed up at the gas station on March 30th. So there's no confirmation of that actually happening, of her actually showing up to the gas station. And here's the thing. It's an abandoned gas station. So at some point, she could literally sit there and say whatever the hell she wants. She could go, yep, I was there. What y'all talking about? I was there. And if this town is really that small, are there cameras everywhere on every intersection? Things to ask. The questions, like I said, I got many questions. Okay? I got many, many questions. All right. News Nation previously reported that Butler and the father of her children were embroiled in a bitter custody battle. And that just 10 days before the women went missing, Butler had filed a petition in court for more visitation with her children and was seeking full custody. I mean, let's be real. She filed a petition because she wanted to see her children more, and she also wants to get her children back. And if they are already in a very, very bitter, nasty custody battle to begin with, and grandmama was claiming some very, very bad things that happened to these two children, I mean, we can start doing the math, right? Now, I get it. There's still possibilities. Apparently, there's a lot of rush houring. If you go on trafficking, there's a lot of trafficking in the area. Okay, that's what they've been alleging. Now, let me just be real. That doesn't automatically mean that these two were taken like Liam Neeson's. All right, doesn't mean that, but there could be a possibility of that, and it just happens to be that this one of the women that was actually taken was in a nasty custody battle. That's possible. But it's too on the nose for me, guys. It's just too on the nose. Okay? Now, again, I could be completely wrong. My theories are saying the breadcrumbs are leading towards this direction, not this direction. That's just me, though. Okay? That's just me. Okay, court filing said things had not been going well between Butler and the children's grandmother. Okay, so the OSBI said it's conducting a search for the women and will provide updates when they become available. News Nation previously reported that the FBI is lending resources in the search as well. Okay, now, again, this is now a clearer picture of what happened. They basically said that the scene that was left behind with the car off on 1,000 feet away from the interstate, off on the side of the road, clearly indicated foul play of some sort, that these two women didn't just both have a psychotic break at the same time and just start wandering off in the middle of the fields out there in Oklahoma. No, it was not like that at all. We are now understanding fully now that there was or is a nasty custody battle going on between Veronica Butler and Veronica Butler's ex and her ex's family, and mainly the grandmother. There were also things that were said in the other show talking about how the grandmother made claims that these kids were subjected to some very bad SA, hence the reason why she now has full custody over those two kids. Don't know if that stuff is true or not, but I will say there's a lot of people out here that will say and do wild things to gain power or to gain custody over their children or over their grandkids, just so that they can, flip the bird or have control and power over somebody. It's the nanny boo boo kind of thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, I got control. I am the captain now. You see what I'm saying? So, something to think about. Okay. Again, it could be nothing, but it also could be everything, this custody battle. Now, I got a couple of videos I want to share with you guys, of course, because, there's a few things. Like I said, we're not going to be here for a very, very long show, but there's a lot that has transpired since the last time we talked about this particular case. I wanted to give you guys some updates on those things because, yeah, they deserve some, a little bit of an update. Of course, there's really not a whole lot, which is really frustrating about this case as well. Not a whole lot. Police have been holding a lot of things. If I had $1 for every single time I said this in the past month, I'd be a millionaire. But they've been playing a lot of this close to the vest. And to me, that kind of tells me that maybe they got something. If they're not doing grid work, if there's not a big search going on, I feel like they have something. They're looking at something. They got someone in their sights. So we'll see what happens here. But let's take a look at a few things, okay? A friend speaks out, so I wanted to share this with you first. Hit the number 1.
It's now been a week and a half since 2 mothers from Kansas vanished in rural Oklahoma. Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley disappeared Easter weekend while traveling to see Butler's children. Law enforcement says foul play is suspected, but with no signs of an active large-scale search, it's not clear where this investigation stands. Let's bring in correspondent Laura Engel, who is on the ground in Oklahoma. So, Laura, what are you hearing from family and friends? This is such a mystery.
It is such a mystery, and we have been efforting that for the last several days. I actually was able to get the husband of Jilian Kelley on the phone this morning at his church. He could not talk to us. He said that, right now they're just waiting for investigators. That information is going to have to come from the OSBI in terms of our questions. And he did ask for us to respect his privacy. We also had a text exchange with the mother of Veronica Butler, who said that she also is directing us to the OSBI. So we've at least made contact with family members with both of these women, but they just can't talk right at the moment. And the silence from investigators, we've got to say, has been deafening. But as we have seen in many other high-profile criminal investigations, this is often the case. This, as the desperate search for 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jilian Kelley continues. Now, the only sign of a physical search that we've seen in the remote area where the women's SUV was found with signs of foul play has been from a couple of local volunteers who have been live streaming their efforts on YouTube, but no official searches that we have seen. But
now, I just want to show you guys this. I mean, look at that. That is crazy. That is nutting. How you gonna be able to find anything out there with nothing? Real talk. There's nothing. Just a dirt road. Wild, right? Pretty damn wild. And imagine trying to find somebody in this particular area. Again, there's no grid search. There are no volunteers. You know what I mean? I understand that there are volunteers out there trying to find these 2 women. But what I'm trying to say is, like, you don't see them like walking side by side, combing through the fields. We haven't seen any of those things yet. Grid work, etc., canines, etc. We haven't seen any of that, y'all. That's pretty wild. Nonetheless, that's pretty wild, okay? And then out there in the middle of nowhere, if you were up to no good, if you were trying to make someone disappear or make someone's, and it's unfortunate with Jilian because she may have been at the wrong place at the wrong time kind of situation. But still, if you know your surroundings and you know for a fact that it's a small town and there's not much surveillance or technology in those particular areas, someone could get disappeared real quick. Let's keep it a buck. So, like I said before, is grandma sitting there rocking in a rocking chair, diabolically crocheting and thinking of things sinister on how to make the mother of these children get disappeared? Real talk. No jokes aside, but it makes you wonder. Is this all from grandma? Crazy.
But no official searches that we have seen. Butler and Kelley were on their way to an abandoned gas station in a very remote location, which was the halfway point between Butler's home in Kansas and her children's grandmother's home in Oklahoma. They were set to meet up for a child custodial pickup, but never made it to their destination, as we know.
Can I just show you guys? Can you look at this? This is Four Corners, y'all. Take a good look. Like, let that soak in. Soak it all the way in. Where they were meeting at was right there. Can you believe that? And the court approved that? Okay, ladies and germs, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a quick conversation, a quick PSA from your boy Pascal. Okay. Doesn't matter if you are if you're in the middle of a nasty custody battle, or if you are getting along and you guys are having joint custody, or, whatever your custody situation may be laid out. Maybe you only get them weekends or you get them every other weekend, so on and so forth. Let me tell you this really quick. I don't care if you get along with your ex. If you do, fantastic. Yes. I'm happy for you, because honestly, if you get along with your ex, that means your kids will be fine, right? It'll be a little bit easier for your kids to deal with that separation, that divorce, however this whole thing transpired and brought these beautiful bundles of joy into the world, okay? Because you have to lead by example, period, point blank, because those kids are watching you, and then they go and they mimic the same things as they get older. It's the truth. We all know this, all right? And we all know this PSA. But the next part of this PSA is this. Whenever, doesn't matter how well you get along with them or not, it's called safety. Okay? It doesn't mean that you don't trust them. Doesn't mean that you think you're gonna get disappeared. All right? Pick and choose your places very wisely when it comes to meeting up, because you never know. Just because your ex isn't thinking something diabolical doesn't mean that the person that might be driving by you, see you on the side of the road, see you at that abandoned place, isn't also thinking something sinister as well, isn't thinking about getting you or your children disappeared. This right here is unacceptable. This ish right here is unacceptable. Say one more time. This ish right here is unacceptable. Not only just for the safety of your kids, but the safety of yourself and your loved ones as well. Period. So I'd be using the Quick Trip. I'd be using the local Piggly Wink. I'd be using everything I can to go somewhere where there's cameras, where there's life, right? Other people, potential eyewitnesses, etc., because you never know. If you have to meet up somewhere and say, God forbid this happens, but say you got to go and meet someone, it's them, your ex, and you have the kids. Say that you go and you transport, do the exchange with the kids in this heavily known, populated area where there's surveillance cameras, all that stuff, and say they all three disappear. Say you got 2 kids and your ex. Say the car, the ex, and the kids vanish into thin air. You at least have footage showing proof positive that the exchange did happen, that they left the parking lot. And if something, God forbid, happened at the parking lot, it would be captured on tape. You see what I'm saying? So this, for the 4th time, this place that they chose should have been unacceptable. I don't care if it's a middle ground, it's a happy medium. I would have driven extra 5-10 minutes to the local gas station and picked them up. This is too sketchy. This is way too sketchy. You're way too vulnerable out there. That's just my thoughts. So just a little PSA. Ladies and germs, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor. Take these notes. Keep this in mind. Just because somebody has full custody over your children does not mean that they have full right on telling you where you can and cannot go and pick up your children. And if it has to be something that's court appointed, then so be it. But this is too dangerous. There's nothing here. There's nothing here, guys. Continuing on.
The residents of Houghton, where the women departed from on Saturday, March 30th, are holding out hope. And people that we spoke to say they are devastated. There have been no signs or no word on their friends. Many people who have been very hesitant to talk. One woman who did not want to go on camera told me she visited Veronica and had just seen her, saying that her friend was so excited to see her kids. Listen here.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her Friday. I was sitting out at Toot and Totem. And she walked in. She was so happy. She had on like full makeup, you know. She said, "I'm going to Liberal." And I said, "What are you going to do?" She goes, "We're going on the boat with the kids." She says, "And I'm not coming back to Hugoton until Tuesday."
Sounded like a very happy and excited mom wanting to meet. Can't like very excited about having some fun with her kids. Tragic.
So we reached out once again to the OSBI today for comment. They could only offer this statement. This is what we got today. The OSBI, along with other agencies, are continuing our search and are hopeful to find both women alive. Anyone with additional information can contact the OSBI at tips@osbi.ok.gov. So here we sit and we wait in Oklahoma for word, and those tips hopefully will bring something. They want somebody to come forward. We've been showing you that remote location where the women's vehicle was found. Sure, there's not a lot of traffic there, but somebody, a farmer maybe, may have seen something, and that is what they're hoping for. Somebody that drove by, saw some activity that day.
That's crazy.
Back to you.
All right, look.
That is crazy. I mean, just looking at that, okay? Looking at the vastness of that area is just terrifying. I'm gonna be real. That is absolutely terrifying. All right, but man, okay. But we got more. And this is not in chronological order, just so you guys know, because I know some of you guys are gonna be like, "This is old. This is not new." That kind of thing. Hey, I'm just giving you guys the updates and a quick broad stroke on updates about this case. Okay. But let's continue on. We got more.
The FBI is joining the investigation of 2 Kansas mothers who vanished on a rural road in Oklahoma more than a week ago. The news comes as friends of Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley begin to speak out. They tell us it's getting harder to stay positive as each day goes by, and that the two women aren't found.
It's like a black cloud is over the top of us, and we want to know that they're okay and they're going to come back, but as the days roll by, it's just getting harder and harder to stay positive and keep the faith, and it's just hard.
The women were driving in rural Oklahoma to pick up Butler's kids when, for some reason, they stopped. Their SUV was found on this deserted road, which, as you can see, it's from this drone video here, it's remote and it's rural. Since our crews have arrived, they have seen no signs of a search for these women. No canines, no command post, no grid search. But that may all change soon now that the FBI is involved.
Now, I'm hoping, like, real talk, FBI come fly in and start injecting this doggone case with some steroids. Real talk. So please and thank you. But there are, if you see here, if you look over here, let me just blow this up for you guys. As you guys can see, I mean, there's other houses, there's other things that are going on. I'm wondering if even over here, you know, this right here, or maybe the houses that are on the side. I mean, some of them kind of look like they're boarded up, but nonetheless, I'm wondering if there's any security camera, okay, any security camera that might be pointing towards towards this road. And yes, it's remote, it's in the middle of the nowhere, but people are still out here wanting to do crime. You see what I'm saying? There's still people out here criming the hell out of things. So I'm wondering about that. Interesting. Let's continue.
News Nation correspondent Laura Engel joins us now live from Oklahoma City. Laura, you just spoke to an Oklahoma private investigator. What did she tell you?
I did. You know, we have been in a text exchange for the last few days, and she was the person that I reached out to before we headed out to the Oklahoma County area, the Texas County area where all of this took place. And she was the one to tell me to be very careful in this very remote area, to kind of leave a plan with people because this is so remote. There are no, cell towers. There's no cameras anywhere. And so I asked her about specifically what she thinks happened to these women. Listen.
I believe that the ladies were most likely taken and something happened to them by more than one person, or at least with at least a gun that was there to coerce them to leave or to shoot them, and then they left. But I believe it was very bad. I think there's a high possibility, I'm not saying absolute, but a high possibility that the family has something to do with it. Perhaps the grandmother, the child's father, or associates of the father, the grandfather, people involved that were in a bitter custody battle dispute that perhaps didn't want to lose custody.
Yeah, we've been hearing about this custody battle for Veronica Butler's kids this entire time. Of course, we can't confirm it because the OSBI will not tell us more than they're just searching and continuing, and will give us an update. And to your point about not seeing a grid search or anything in the area, the only thing that we have seen are a couple of volunteers going around this area, being careful, looking for any signs or clues for these women. Elizabeth?
It's the whole thing is weird. And yes, what the friend said, I guess she's a private investigator. This woman, where is she? Right here. Okay. This woman right here says she's I guess she claims to be a friend of the two of them and all that. Again, this is a small town, so there's a good possibility of that actually happening. But what I think is interesting is, yeah, I mean, there could have been a smash and grab, throw them into a car and then just drive off. Like I said, if you're going to be out here criming, that was the perfect area to do some crime. Unless there was a video camera somewhere capturing at least, even if it's like they're like the size of an ant, right? On the footage, you can at least see something, right? You can at least see maybe them just getting out the car and just walking, or someone pulling up, smashing the window, getting them out the car, throwing them in the back of a ride and driving down the road. And then the question is, which direction did they drive? The other thing I'm also wondering, are there tire marks? Are there any signs of another car pulling up next to their car? How did it go off on the side of the road? Was the car found on the side of the road? Was the car found in the middle of the road? All questions that I'm curious about, right? And hopefully police are doing everything they can to figure that out. But FBI, man, if you want to jump on in, by all means, I'm sure the water's warm.
There are clues for these women. Elizabeth?
What do we expect to change now that the FBI is involved, Laura?
Yeah, I confirmed with the FBI today, and they told me only that they are providing resources, and they kind of hesitated when they wouldn't tell us much more about their involvement, other than to say the OSBI is the lead. We are providing resources. More to come. So, you know, I got the sense that there is more to come. Hopefully it will be in a matter of days. But I do want to also mention that I had a very brief conversation today with the husband of Jilian Kelley. I asked him for an interview. He said that they're not giving any interviews at this time, to please give them space and privacy. We also had a text exchange with the mother of Veronica Butler. Same thing, not ready to talk. We also spoke to locals. Many people don't want to go on camera. People are pretty fearful right now of speaking out about anything that's going on with this case.
I'm wondering why. See, that's the thing. I'm still wondering why. Why is everybody so nervous about actually just getting out and speaking? Is there something else going on? Now, I get it. It is a small town. Okay. I get it. But that's weird, right? That not everybody's willing, because in the very beginning, people were like, nah, we ain't doing nothing. We're not talking. We ain't talking. But then suddenly we getting a few people speaking out, which is, I appreciate, I'm sure, on behalf of these two women. I'm sure they appreciate that too, because there is a need for information out here so that people know what's going on, right? So that's appreciative. But in the very beginning, people are very tight-lipped. Why? What are they nervous about? Is Veronica Butler's children's grandmother dangerous? I'm just saying, it makes me wonder. You know what I mean? It does make me wonder. Now, I don't know. This is a comment I would just want to pull up. I don't know if this is entirely true. So I'm just going to pull this up. Okay. But Gregory said, problem is the brother of Veronica. They were going to have a B-Day party for the child, correct? And the brother SA'd one or more children. Court papers prohibit the brother from being near the kids. That is very interesting. If that is true, okay? Don't know if that's fact. Don't know, but I'm pulling it up because that caught my eye, and I am kind of curious about that, okay? And yeah, Nicole B, it's like you know what I'm saying? Was she queen of that small town? Like she that diabolical? She that dangerous out here in these streets? I'm curious. Okay. Yes. Yes, I do know about. Thank you, Rocky, for that. We just read that also. But yes, it was court ordered, which makes no sense. And I feel like if you have good representation and all that, I'm just saying, I get it that you're going to do whatever you can to look as best as you can under the guise and under the visage of the court. But at the same time, if that is a sketchy place to meet up with grandma to get children, doesn't look like a safe area to meet up with grandma, then hey, you talk to your lawyers and you push back to the court saying this is not a safe area. Like I said, it shouldn't matter if it's court appointed or not. If you're not comfortable with that, that should instantly throw up a red flag, just in my opinion. Not sitting here saying that every person that's going through a custody battle or every person that has joint custody or doesn't have full custody is out here trying to do something bad. I'm not saying that at all. It's just a matter of safety, precaution, etc. Because you never know. During an exchange, bad things can happen to people. So for the fact that they went and they were meeting up in an abandoned area, that's odd and weird. I know that it was court appointed, but at least try to push back and say, hey, can we meet somewhere else where there's cameras and life? Shoot, even vegetation. All that vegetation was dead in that area. Okay. So hopefully we're all taking something from this. Okay. Just be careful with just be safe out here, guys.
Spoke to one woman who now misses her friend Veronica. Listen.
We're all wondering what's going on. They're not telling us anything either. As far as I know, they're not telling family anything.
Is there any chance that they could be somewhere that we don't know of, that we haven't thought of, that they haven't looked through?
I pray there is. But I can't answer that, probably without crying.
All right, so we stand by and we wait, and we still talk to people in this area. Again, the news of the FBI is good, and we'll wait for that word from the OSBI.
It's a tough one, guys. This one's crazy. This one's crazy. All of them, all of these cases are tough. None of these have been easy, obviously. Sebastian Rogers has been absolutely crazy and very, very frustrating. Caleb Harris's case as well has been crazy and has been very, very frustrating. By the way, no real updates, no real developments on that case as of yet, which is very frustrating as well. And trust me, I mean, you know, I've been in correspondence with everybody. Okay, with at least those two cases and also Riley Strain's case as well, just asking questions, right? And so far, not a whole lot of movement in all those three cases. And then we look at this, and there still really isn't much activity or movement in this case as well. Now, let me say this too. Let me add this to what I just said. That doesn't automatically mean that there's no movement. What we see out here in the public, we only see the surface. We don't see what's going on behind closed doors, right? We don't see behind the scenes with law enforcement doing everything they can. We have to keep that in consideration as well, which can be very frustrating, I know. But you know for a fact, when a bombshell drops, it's going to, and everybody going to, talk about it and go crazy. You know what I mean? But real quick, Jackie Sue, thank you so much for gifting one membership. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Sharing is caring. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I want to say this too, you know, to my mods, even you new ones, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for holding it down in the chat. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I just want to let you guys know. And everybody in the chat, if you guys do appreciate the mods out here just kind of cleaning up these streets, all right, please give them a whole bunch of purple heart emojis in the chat right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Terry, thank you so much for the super sticker. I do really appreciate it. All the support is absolutely appreciated, guys. Okay? Those of y'all who are just commenting, those of you guys who are watching while washing the dishes, while you're gardening. I don't know. Do you garden right now? I mean, it's April, right? It's April. So you'd be gardening right now, right? You know, going on your run, going on your swift little, you know, speed walk, whatever it is, working out, lifting weights, you know, no pain, no gain, whatever you're doing. I appreciate you guys being here, okay? And being a part of the conversation. Because your energy means the world to me and means the world to all these victims that are out here that are still needing to be found or needing to seek justice. It is really appreciated that you guys are here. So let's continue on. We got two more clips that I want to share with y'all. Okay, so let's continue.
A few clues, little information, and now the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says the FBI is helping in its search for the two mothers who disappeared almost 2 weeks ago. Police say Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley vanished while they were driving along Highway 95 from Kansas to Oklahoma 12 days ago. Butler's car was found about 1,000 feet off the highway on a dirt road. Police say Butler was on her way to pick up her children. She was involved in a child custody battle, and Jilian Kelley was Butler's court-appointed monitor. Joining me now is News Nation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, we know the FBI is joining the search effort, but we don't know in what capacity. What services can the FBI actually provide in this situation?
Well, thank you for having me, Nick. So really, the FBI is joining in a resource providing capacity. They have been asked by the OSBI to do so. Basically, the way that it works in a case like this is OSBI is the lead investigator, and they have to ask for the FBI's help. Now, this is a multi-state investigation. Thus far, you have Kansas and you have Oklahoma. So theoretically, the FBI could have some jurisdiction here, but that's not why they're being brought in. Most likely, I suspect they're being brought in to provide technical assistance. So as we've mentioned before in regards to this case, there's really not a lot of cell phone towers and those kinds of things. They may have retrieved the individual's phones and may need assistance in processing that data. And that is a lot of times why the FBI is brought into these investigations.
And Tracy, in stories past, you've told us how more often than not, investigators know more than they share with the public. If FBI profilers are introduced into this investigation, where will they start and how will that actually help the case?
So in my opinion, if they bring profilers in, I think the biggest key to this case, and I've talked about it before, is what made them pull over. Was their vehicle rammed off to the side, or did they see someone they know on the side? And so I think that is going to be critical in terms of building a profile of what may have happened to these individuals.
Tracy, two quick questions for you, though. Is it unusual for the FBI to get involved nearly 2 weeks into a missing persons case? And why would the local authorities not ask for the FBI's help earlier if that's the case?
So it's actually not unusual for them to come in later, particularly if it's a case that's technically not a federal crime where they wouldn't have primary jurisdiction, because again, per the law, they have to be asked to come in. And so it's actually not unusual. In the case of Kohberger, they weren't brought in right away either. It was a little quicker than this, obviously, but they were brought in at a later time. So it's not unusual for something like this to happen.
Interesting. Can we jump? Can we join? Can we play? Can we come in and play? That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. The other thing, though, too, she mentioned Kohberger. We haven't talked about Kohberger in a minute. I'm curious, are you guys wanting me to do a little bit of the coverage on the Kohberger stuff? I'm kind of curious about that, too. I mean, for me, I was kind of waiting for like some movement or at least the trial to actually like get going. And I know the trial ain't going to be happening anytime soon, but it is interesting what's been going on with Kohberger. I know it's totally off topic, but I am kind of curious about the Coco, okay? Which is very interesting. That whole thing, that's very interesting. Reggae. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pascal, for all you do. Thank you, mods. Yes, thank you, mods. Thank you to the mods. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Okay, and thank you, Reggae. So I am kind of curious about that. The Coco. Yes, Jackie Sue. Coco. It has been weird. All right, but let's continue on. All right, and also Karen Reed's, I guess the pretrial hearing is going on right now, if I'm correct. I've been hearing about it. I don't know much about the Karen Reed case. I'm being completely honest. And I understand that one has been extremely split. That has split the doggone room. Okay. And then Sarah Boone, the suitcase case. That one's a very interesting one as well. And I'm wondering, when is the actual trial for Sarah Boone? Because I know that they keep pushing that one back. They keep changing the dates. She's gone through like 11 lawyers by now. I mean, it's been absolutely nuck and futz with that one, right? But I heard that there's a situation, or there's going to be a pretrial here or something like that. So I'm curious about that as well. But yeah, Suitcase Sarah, that one's crazy. Crazy. Okay, but let's continue on. I know that's a little bit of a left turn, but I am curious about that.
And Tracy, you mentioned Kohberger. That was the example I was thinking of when I thought about you, because you talked about how investigators, more often than not, know more than they actually share. But people on the ground are saying there are no visible signs of an active large-scale search, no grid search, canines, or police command center. If police are not looking for the women where the car was found, then where are they focusing their search?
That's what I'd like to know, too. Where they focused at. Now, I understand that they're not going to tell us everything. Okay. I get that part. They're not going to tell us everything. Show. But at the same time, Can you at least like point in the direction? Can you at least like in the direction? Like burp in that general direction? Just something, right? So we understand, okay, they went west. You know, they're searching this way or that away. You see what I'm saying? I'm curious. All right. Let's continue going.
Right, and that's an
Y'all are
excellent
crazy.
question, and you're right. There is no grid search. There
Stop
are
it.
no dogs out or any kind of anything like that. And so I really do think that they do know more in regards to this situation, and that they know that the women were taken immediately to a secondary location. And so what that tells me is perhaps there's evidence of another vehicle being present.
Boom. Didn't I just say that? Hey. Didn't I just say, were there tracks? Were there markings around the car? You know, etc. Is there proof of another car pulling up and possibly taking these two women? Blammo.
And they are focusing on that secondary location.
Tracy, one last question for you before I let you go. News Nation has reported that Butler was involved in a bitter custody battle and had just filed a petition with the court for more visitation rights, and she was seeking full custody. How does the custody dispute impact the investigation?
I think it impacts every aspect of the investigation. I think it's the first place that law enforcement started in terms of looking at a suspect. And I suspect that's why the family is being asked to be quiet at this point in time.
They feel like that the police are hot on somebody's pursuit, or hot on the pursuit of on some. You know what I mean? They're hot on somebody's trail, dag nabbit. That's probably what it is. That's probably the reason why they've been so tight-lipped and there's been nothing going on. There's been no conversations of not a damn thing from law enforcement. And maybe that's the reason why we're not seeing grid searches and volunteers out there in the middle of the fields, you know, combing the fields and whatnot, right? Slowly walking, you know, through every nook and cranny of these fields because they don't feel like they are there. It's not there. It's somewhere else. So they know something. 5-0 knows something for sure. Something that caught my eye. Sophie, yes, last phone call. I'm wondering that as well. That's a very good point. Who was the last person to correspond with Veronica or even Jilian? That's some interesting stuff as well, right? What was left behind? What items also were left behind? Were phones left behind? You see what I'm saying? If they were taken in such a quick and wild fashion, could there be a possibility of them leaving something behind? A phone, shoes, even anything, right? Any sign of being like, okay, there's no way they went and just started walking off down this road barefoot the entire time. You see what I'm saying? You know, those are just questions I have in my mind. Okay. But we're continuing on. We are going to continue on. We got one last video I want to share with you guys. Here we go.
And let's bring in Dave Walker now. Once again, he's the retired homicide sergeant for the Tulsa, Oklahoma Police Department with more than 3 decades of experience. Dave, thanks for hopping on with me once again this week. As Nancy just laid out, tomorrow marks 2 weeks since they've gone missing. Still not a lot of information to go off of. So where do you think investigators are in their search today?
I again still think they're probably pretty close by the lack of information they're giving. The type of information that was given was kind of impressive, down into even the shoe descriptions. I don't think I would have given that much of a description, because then what happens is when somebody calls in with a tip, if we didn't give every piece of information, we'd be able to determine if that tip is valid or not, and whether to spend the time on.
Hold on real quick. I saw something, and this is something that I've been wondering about too, because Gigi, thank you so much for putting this comment in here, because I've been seeing in other, chats and other, conversations about this case, something about a pig, or as you, Gigi, just said, a hog farm. Like what? What is up with that? I am quite curious about that. Now, I understand that would be crazy and just very disturbing if that was the case, If you get what I'm saying, obviously Gigi just said the only thing they might find in a hog farm is clothing in the pig-ish, okay, in the excrement. All right. That's a wild theory to think, but I mean, we don't know anything, so I guess you can leave that on the table. You know what I'm saying? I guess you leave that on the table for now until we find out something more, but damn, that's very disturbing. Okay. To even think about. I'm hoping that's not the case, but yeah. Yikes. Let's continue.
Authorities, as you know, they've confirmed foul play is suspected just based on undisclosed evidence that they found in that abandoned car. But what should we make of the fact that there are no visible signs of an active large-scale search? I mean, no grid searches, K9 units, police command center.
I think by the lack of a search in that area, and you see a lot of private citizens, as you call them, computer sleuths or whatever you want to call them, law enforcement doesn't mind that they're out there. That means that that's not where the crime scene is. They may not know where the crime scene is, but I think they've pretty much determined it's not there. So as long as the private citizens are mucking around somewhere else, then they're not going to be tying the hands of law enforcement unnecessarily.
And Dave, you worked in this area for decades. I know you're hearing rumors of a hog farm that's close by that could be involved here. What are you hearing about that, and how would that be involved?
Well, I think anytime you got a hog farm there and the criminal element knows that hogs eat just about anything, we've had investigations, 2 of them that I know of, that concerned hogs and the suspicion that they were fed to the hogs. If that's the case, then we're looking for clothing.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I have not yet seen this video, okay? So I'm watching this for the first time. I swear, I did not know that what Gigi commented was going to be mentioned in this video. Okay, that just happened to be a crazy coincidence. I swear to y'all. But what? Okay, I'm sorry. I got to roll that back. Because I'm thinking, oh, that's, it's a theory. It's pretty wild to have that theory. But he's even exercising that very theory. Oh, hell to no. Let me play that back a little bit. He said about what? About what?
Well, I think anytime you got a hog farm there and the criminal element knows that hogs eat just about anything, we've had investigations, 2 of them that I know of, that concerned hogs and the suspicion that they were fed to the hogs. If that's the case, then we're looking for clothing. And because hogs will not digest the clothing, they'll obviously digest food, and a human would be food. But then where is the clothing that they were wearing?
Yeah, chilling to think about.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's take a second. Oh my God. That is crazy. I mean, I heard, like I said, I've read comments about pig farms or hog farms, and I was kind of like, yeah. You know what I mean? But now in the world of true crime, anything is possible. So when I hear about this is crazy. Somebody said, Green Eyed said, Carol Baskin. Stop. Okay. Just stop. Carol Baskin. But still, that is very odd and pretty wild because, of course, you guys are saying in the area, there's a lot of, the freeze frame is terrible. And her freeze frame is exactly how I think in my head about the pig farm. Okay? It's very disturbing. It's grody. Okay? I don't think I'm ever eating bacon anytime soon, if that's the case. Okay? But let us continue. But yeah, he even said pigs will eat pretty much almost anything. So the only thing that they won't be able to digest is the clothing. So hopefully law enforcement is doing everything they can to look that up or to look into that, but dag nab. Hog farms? Wow.
Also, since we last spoke a couple days ago, it's now been confirmed that the FBI has been involved in the case from the get-go. The feds asked to assist while the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation remains the lead. What services can the FBI provide in a case like this?
Well, I know the OSBI has a great lab there in Edmond, Oklahoma. The FBI does have a lot of resources that they can throw at an issue. As long as the OSBI is in control of what's happening and the communication's good, the more eyes looking at this, the better. And that's why I'm kind of confused by the lack of media being brought in. But I'm sure law enforcement has a reason for that.
Do you think that's a mistake? Do you think we'd be farther along if the media were given more information to disseminate out farther and more widespread?
Yes and no, but I think I would, this far out, absolutely call in everybody that you can. Like I said, then it would come down to determining what tips you get, who's carrying the phone. 24 hours a day, that thing needs to be answered, and it needs to be answered by somebody in the know. That's why your groups have to be, your detectives need to be working the obvious, and then now, this far out, the not so obvious.
I know all of us curious as to what they have that they're not releasing. I know that they're probably focusing on that bitter custody battle that seems to be at the center of this too. So hopefully new answers this weekend as it now marks 2 weeks. Sergeant Dave Walker, thanks.
Yeah, this is some crazy stuff. Real quick, Busy Mama, thank you so much for being a member for the past 4 months. From what I heard on JLR, he got in touch with a friend. JLR is on this too. Okay, good. Friend of a mom, Granny is involved in sovereign nation there. Ooh, interesting. OBI is getting involved. Interesting. That's interesting indeed. Thank you so much for that update. I mean, this is very odd. Very, very odd. Somebody said to look up Susan Monica. This is a transgender monster who took the lives of 2 handymen and then fed them to pet pigs in Oregon farm. And that particular individual is serving a life sentence in prison right now for taking the life of 2 people. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I didn't know that pigs were a thing. I mean, you hear about it in the movies, you know what I mean? I've seen it in movies, but I've never heard about like actually people doing that in real life. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty crazy. All right. Look at serial monster Robert Picton, Canada, used hogs. That's crazy, Primrose. Thank you so much for the super chat and the heads up on that as well. But of course, this is a case that still we don't know a lot about. Law enforcement is playing a lot of things close to the vest. Family members are not getting out here on interviews and podcasts and whatnot, talking about everything, which, of course, can tell you one thing or may not tell you anything at all. But it does say something, right? That maybe they're going, hey, we want to wait to see what police have to say and are doing about this particular case. But then again, I also wonder that sometimes when family members or families don't speak out, sometimes they're not comfortable speaking because they're worried about certain things coming out. And if there is some sort of thing that's gone on with these children or has happened to these children and it happened within the family, there may be information that they don't want to have out here unearthed, out here to the public. So they may be doing a lot of protection, not only just protection on the case itself, but also protection on other people that are on the outside, family, friends, etc. And they don't want them to turn into casualties because of being thrown under the bus during this investigation. I think that, it's pretty wild, right? That no one's willing to step forward. Family members have been very, very tight-lipped, but at the same time, not everybody's willing to be a spokesperson. You know, not everybody is willing to do interviews, and that's okay too. That's totally okay. Shoot, there's been plenty of solved mysteries and solved people being found and murders being solved, etc., without people going on podcasts and doing interviews. You know, that's true. But then again, there's been a lot of help from hopping on to podcasts and doing interviews with the media. You know, it helps one keep the name out there, keep their faces fresh in everybody's mind. And it also is kind of like a calling card. It's like they're calling out law enforcement to do their doggone job, to get to it, to get on that. Don't sit and get complacent. Get the work done, do the investigation, and so on. So, you know, I see both sides. You know, it's a double-edged sword. There's pros and cons to it, right? So we'll see what happens here. Like I said, hog farms, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And I'm wondering, sorry guys, and I'm wondering if police are doing everything they can right now to do that, to look things up, to look into those hog farms, look into the grandmother. Is she out here doing nasty work, y'all? That's the question. Is she out here doing nasty work? Is this by her own doing? Sitting there like just maniacally just laughing in the background, thinking of all things just sinister. I don't know. But that's crazy. Pretzel, thank you. These are very troubled individuals. Forget that DNA. These very troubled individuals forget that DNA will still exist in pig dookie. It's a freakish thing. Sadly, it's been happening for years. You know, Pretzel, you ain't wrong. And I think that's the reason why they need to look into those hog farms, because it could be a possibility. Like I said, it could be completely off. We could be completely wrong with these hog farm things. And it just happened to be in the same area as these, you know, in the same area that they were taken. These hog farms are in that same area. It could be a coincidence, but at the same time, they need to literally exercise every possibility. Exhaust every possibility until those things are debunked. So hopefully they will. Mimi, thank you so much. Mimi, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate the super sticker. And Nicole, I'll throw this up there. Yeah, I'm disturbed on all levels. Yeah, like I said, it's something like I feel like we would see in a movie. It feels like something that we would see in a movie. So if that is actually real, that's crazy. But then if that is the case, and they, oh, God forbid, were found in hog farms of any sort, the next question is, who did it and who planned it out? Who executed this whole thing? Remember, the next question I have is grandma like that physically fit? Is grandma that physically fit? Is she like what, an 80-year-old CrossFitter? Just jacked cock diesel out here? Able to do all this stuff on her own? I don't think so. So if it was something that had to do with the grandma, she was the shot caller. That's what it is. Or it was both of them. It was grandma and her son, the father of those kids. It's crazy, y'all. Like, that's absolutely crazy. Okay. Yeah. You know, grandma. Yeah. Cameron, grandma outsourced that job. Yeah, she did. Probably called a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. I'm sure she got friends in low places like a mug. Okay. So that's crazy though, guys. That is crazy. But we'll find out more information as time goes on. This case is not done yet. This case is far from done. So, but the only thing is that there's not much information. You could see even media is really trying to draw out more information. And I understand that. I want to know more information too, because it's so strange for them to be here one day and then suddenly with 1 minute they're here, the next minute they're gone. That is very, very odd, guys. Extremely odd. So I get, the likes of News Nation really trying to drag it out. They're trying to get as much information out. And it seems like that town and the people that have that information are literally fighting. Okay? Fighting against media who are just going, can we just find out what actually happened here? Can y'all just let us know what's popping off, please and thank you? So, pretty crazy stuff. Dominic, thank you so much. You joking about Grammy, but just from my own upbringing, she was probably about that. Gangsta grandma. She an OG, literally. Okay? Original grandma. Literally, she is like, if this is true, this grandma, shoot. Like, she out here, though. Mimi, thank you so much. I appreciate the super sticker. If that's true, she out here. She about that life, baby. Shot caller. All right? That's crazy. And then it does make you wonder, what connection does grandma have with people like that? And why would she have connections to people like that? It's something to think about. But then again, it could be through the son. Son, father of the babies, he is in rehab. Is there a possibility he ran into some people out here while he was in these streets? Chasing his high? I don't know. Things we got to ask that hopefully we get answers to very, very soon. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Like I said, it wasn't going to be a super long show, but I wanted to give you guys some updates on this case because this case does deserve an update for sure. Needs a little bit more light on it. And I don't see a whole lot of platforms covering it. So I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. Let's get some more corrections. Let's correct some of the information that initially came out. Let's correct those. And then let's, of course, help find these two moms, okay? They are still gone. They're still missing. They don't know where they are. Could they be in a hog farm? I don't know. That's still very new to me. And if they are, my Lord, that is terrible. Okay? That is a terrible way to do something to somebody's. That's terrible. So I'm praying for their safe and swift return. But also, I'm wondering if police, law enforcement, and whatnot are side-eyeing the family, the grandma, and that side of the family. I'm quite curious about that. But anyway, guys, again, I appreciate all y'all for being here. I may be on a little bit later on tonight. We'll see. Please do me a favor, though. Hit that like button down below. All right. Send it all the way up. That would really mean a lot. I'd love to see it go to 800 likes. That would be amazing. Okay. We're almost there. And of course, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Crush that subscribe button, please and thank you. That would be awesome as well. Please and thank you. Okay. Hold on, guys. There we go. Things are tripping. All right. But I appreciate all y'all's energy. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that follow button on my Facebook page. Please and thank you. If you want to support the channel on YouTube, hit that join button down below. Become a member of the family. You can also support even more by going to Patreon. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show. Check out my Pascal merch store, PascalMerch.com. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. And I will be talking to you guys very, very soon. And if I don't see you guys tonight, Have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. If you happen to miss the shows and whatnot throughout the weekend and all that, please be sure to have a wonderful, positive, and safe weekend. Okay? We all deserve that. All right? Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. I'll see you guys soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.